Hi, my name is Jacob LaFond, and I'm here to talk about the Kanban development methodology and why my company should use it. This presentation will be about the attempt to solve some software development processes that are currently causing havoc in my company. Some of these problems include missing deliverable dates. Uh, Customers don't really like that. Lack of sufficient tracking tools for our developers, and overall just poor communication internally and externally. Kanban is a great development tool that is based upon a visual process which makes everyone aware of what is currently being worked on. It has cues that you can set as to not overload one part of the process or in this case like people, and allows it a quick glance to see where bottlenecks in the process can occur. I have a unique opportunity at my current company to implement a new software development process along with a new software development tracking tool, which will improve internal and external communication and awareness. This current process and tool has failed, which leaves us to our current situation. The current situation is just we have a inefficient development tracking tool and process. Developers don't use it. This frustrates management and our project managers when we're trying to relay what is coming up in new releases for the customer. And this process means that tracking items for billing, which sales is obviously very concerned about, makes it almost impossible or very, very difficult. Some of the key success factors in implementing this new development tracking tool and process includes obviously buy-in from management, buy-in from the development partner, and the tool that we implement has to be pretty easy to use. And regardless of all the above, if we implement everything and no one adheres to the new process, well, then the tool and the process won't work. Some of the alternatives that we have to implementing a new process is sticking with the current process. This process is familiar with everybody, and it's been used in my company now for years. However, ultimately, the current process is what got us in this situation in the first place. Scrum, which is another form of agile development, we could use that. The problem with Scrum, however, is that it requires a substantial amount of resources, and as a small software development company, we don't necessarily have those resources. And also, it sometimes lacks in a clear definition of a software release. This means that you may make a whole bunch of changes to the software, however, they may be scattered and ultimately not provide a good sense of, hey, this is what's coming in the next upcoming release, which is something that Kanban definitely helps with. So Kanban is the strategic option here. By implementing this new development process, it'll provide more accurate feature dates. It eliminates waste, shows bottlenecks in the current process, and also there's a Kanban software development tracking tool built by Axosoft that's pretty easy to use and integrates with multiple facets of the development process, including support and technical ticketing. It also has a great Kanban storyboard, which is definitely something that'll be utilized here. Which kind of leads more into the benefits of Kanban. Again, it provides accurate feature estimates. So no longer is it when the customer is going to get this functionality, it's when they will get all of this functionality. And if you work in technology, you know that you could fix or create one part of a feature, but say a report went along with that feature and the feature was there, but the report's not. Well, then that's not an entire feature, that's only part of it. So rather than telling customers, hey, it's going to be this much for this part, this much for this part, you're able to tell the customers it'll be 2 weeks before you have this full, complete feature. Which again leads into demonstrations. By going this route, you're able to demonstrate a complete feature ahead of time let customers know, hey, this is what we're working on. This is what you can expect to see in the new release. It also gives the customers a sense of satisfaction because they know that you're working on improving the software that they're currently using. Again, one of the other benefits was being able to dynamically show in a visual sense where bottlenecks exist in the current process. So say, for example, your developers are cranking out code and getting a lot of things done, but a lot of items you see are stacking up in the testing queue. Well, you may realize, okay, maybe we need to hire additional QA people, or maybe the developers should help with the testing process. Obviously, they shouldn't test their own code, but maybe the other developer's code. Kanban is not, however, without its risks. It is definitely less effective in resource shared situations. The system becomes a little bit more complex that way. So say, for example, you have two developers and they're working on a feature for you. Well, if they are working on a feature for somebody else at the same time, your timelines and estimates get a little hard to manage there, because what they estimated over here could take longer, which then makes yours take longer, or they may finish yours first, and it just, like I said, it becomes more complicated. Surges in mix or demand causes problems. And what I mean by this is Kanban is essentially a process that relies upon continuous improvement. And by this, you're always working, you're always improving the software. But if all of a sudden a customer comes in and says, I need this, 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 and this, and I need it yesterday, Kanban's not so good at managing that, or vice versa. If you have no work in the queue, Kanban doesn't really help that much. In which case, I think a lot of things wouldn't really help that much at that point, but that's besides it. So the major risk of Kanban, however, is a breakdown anywhere in the Kanban process is pretty much game over. Because each part of the process relies upon the previous, you can't have a breakdown in the process, because then it shuts down almost the entire line. For example, in production in Toyota, who implement and created this process, if all of a sudden you couldn't create any Prius stores, well, now you can't create Priuses at all, and that entire production line is shut down simply because that one part of the line failed. However, after going over the risks and benefits, this leads me to what I believe my company should do, and that's implement Kanban and the new software development tracking tool. It's not only going to give our customers greater satisfaction by knowing what's coming in upcoming releases, it's going to allow management to have a easy glance of what's going on in the software development process there. And really, it's going to improve the ROI on developing new features, because now, instead of developing just parts of features and figuring out how long those takes, you're developing an entire feature that can essentially stand by itself and that you can market and sell by itself. This has been my presentation, and for further reading and some of the references here, one of the things was advantages and disadvantages of Kanban, and another one was, and this was my favorite, the Kanban development oversimplified. Take a look at those if you want to know some more about the Kanban development process, and thanks for listening.